So we're doing graphing review?
Graphing review. Graphing rev. Okay, so my plan for today is I want to go through this. I had to sign this like on Thursday, I think. Is that about right?
No.
I didn't.
I don't think so.
What did I get on Thursday?
I think it's like, I think it's one of those, it wasn't good.
It was?
Yeah, because you assigned it to me Monday.
Hey, fellas. All right, so graphing review is what we're on. And I'll go through that, and I will tell you that there is now an item on Schoology that is open, and it's resumable. So I'll show you how to find it on Schoology, just in case you're not aware. So you go on to Schoology, you find your tab, and then,
When is the quiz due?
ooh, I gotta look. It's not tomorrow, I can tell you that. Go to business, you find your business calculus class, and you go under week 5, and there is an algebra graphing review quiz that will be due on Monday, a week from today, at 11:59 in the p.m. If you started at 11:58 in the p.m., you probably won't have enough time to do it. Got it? It is resumable, as I said, so you could start it, do a little bit, come back to it. You can work with each other. You can work with those around you. You can work with people you know. You can use Google Math on it, or Math Type, or any of those things. But basically, everything on that quiz you should be able to do. Please have it done by, don't be that kid that, oh, I didn't know. Because I'll remind you all this week. But we will go over the review today, and then we'll start some of the business part of this class. And then if you missed last time, we talked about fair estate division, and use Scooby-Doo characters as our go-to, which I had fun. I don't know if you guys had fun or not. All right, a lot of these we're going to be able to do with just desmos. Okay, so let's get to our family friends, the desmos family. So problem number 1, if you were given this type of opportunity, you use the table to put the point in, so you get -1 and 8. That's great. Let's darken this up a little bit. So that's the point that we're dealing with. But then it says you have a slope of -2. So you have y equals mx plus b. But what you have to remember, you go y1 tilde. They gave us m. They gave us a slope. So we're going to go -2x sub 1 plus b. And so your equation that contains that point is y equals -2x plus 6. And that's it. That's okay, I think. And then the next problem, they want us to plot the point and figure out the equation that goes through these two. So I have 1 and 2, and then I have 0 and -5. Okay, and so if we hit the plus button, so those 2 points, good to know. They want the equation, so desmos y sub 1 tilde mx sub 1 plus b. And so y equals 7x minus 5 is the equation that works. That seemed okay. And then problem number 3 says give the equation a line that goes through those 2 points. I'll just keep my equation thing there. Change my points. And I have -4 and 6 and 2 and 4. So those are my 2 points that are graphed. And so my My equation is y equals negative 0.3. 0.3 repeating is 1/3, so negative 1/3 if you wanted to put, or you could put like negative 0.33 or whatever, plus 4.66667. Okay. Any questions on 1, 2, 3, or do you feel comfortable with how those came about being? Giddy up. Then we get to number 4. 2 absolute value x minus 3 minus 4 is equal to negative x squared plus 3x. So friends, how do we do this problem? Desmos is a good clue, but how would you do it?
You drop the first section equals y and then the second section.
Yep. So you can go 2 ABS, absolute value. Make sure you then put it in parentheses. X minus 3 minus 4. Okay, maybe put it to home. So there's that equation. So that's the left side. And then you can graph y equals negative x squared plus 3x. And I'm actually only just looking for the x values. So I'm looking at 0.438 and 3.702 as my two answers. They have it as points, and that's actually incorrect because we only have x values. There's no y value. We're cheating the system using y values, but it works out just nicely. Seem good in the hood?
What would happen if you just put all of it together without any equals y sections?
All right, let's take a look. Do one more line down. Let's go 2 ABS, parentheses x minus 3 minus 4 equals negative x squared plus 3x. Oh. So it's going to give you this.
Oh, so you'll get the same, you'll get the x values.
Yeah, it gives you the x values. Does this, if I hover over it, it's kind of hard to get the x values because it's not lighting up.
If you click on the equation and then click on it, that might work.
That, and then that.
Oh, that's another.
Yeah, it was a good idea, but yeah, it'll show you, but it won't necessarily give you the answers exactly. So then you're kind of estimating it. All right, and then they want us to find the domain for each. So the domain can be done very easily, just as long as you're finding the square root stuff. X minus 4. Okay, so this particular item, if you click here and it holds as a solid point, that means that's where it starts. So our domain goes from square bracket 4, comma, infinity, soft bracket. And I say square bracket because that's actually a point. Infinities don't have a square bracket. They're always soft brackets. So that's the domain. So the domain is hard bracket or square bracket 4 to infinity, soft bracket. And then letter B says y equals 3 divided by 2x minus 4. Just make sure everything stays in the denominator. So this line right here, number 2 basically, if I plug 2 into the equation, 2 is going to be what makes the denominator 0. So my domain of this is going to go from negative infinity, soft bracket negative infinity, to soft bracket 2, and then soft bracket 2, comma, infinity soft bracket. So you have everything is a soft bracket, and the reason the 2 is a soft bracket is that it's actually a vertical asymptote. And neither of those first two had holes, so we're not worried about holes. Holes basically is when you have a binomial on top that matches a binomial on bottom is where a hole is going to take place. So please be aware. Letter C. So I'm going to go y equals big square root at x squared minus 81. All right, let's zoom out a smidge on this. So you have these 2 points here. So in between negative 9 and positive 9, the graph doesn't exist. So my domain is going to go from negative infinity to negative 9. It's a solid dot, so it's a square bracket at negative 9. And then it's a solid dot, so it's going to be a square bracket at 9 to infinity. So negative infinity to negative 9, hard bracket 9 to infinity. And infinity is next to the infinity is always soft bracket. Okay. All happy? All right, I'm going to try number 6 on Desmos and see if it might take us into some obscure place. So I'm going to plot the point or the equation y equals 6x squared plus 23x plus 7. So it gives us this parabola. Okay. I then want to replace x with negative 2. So I could do this because I'm replacing x with negative 2. I could go to another equation, say x equals negative 2. And you have to see where this might cross. So at negative 2, my answer is negative 15. Notice I'm only writing the y value for that. So what's taking place in the x direction at negative 2? In the y direction happens to be negative 15. That's how you would do that. Okay, and that works for the first one. The second one, we have to change the equation to 7x minus 1. So let's just change this up. So I get 7x minus 1, and we want negative 1 to be the answer. So then we try and find the intersection here. So it looks like at negative 1, my answer is going to be negative 8. And then letter C. I don't know if I can do Desmos on that one. Actually, you know what? I can. I can do Desmos on that one. All right. How I'm going to do Desmos on this last one is I'm going to plug the first equation in. Y equals 6x squared plus 23x plus 7. So the first thing I'm going to define is I'm going to find where at 0 this is going to take place. So x equals 0. So at x equals 0, I get 7 as an answer. So now, keep that in mind. 7's my answer. Agree? 7. So 7's our answer. So we know that we're going to have to go to x equals 7 eventually, and I'm going to change this equation to the other equation. So 7x minus 1. 7x minus 1. And if I zoom out, if you click here, so f at 0 yields you an answer of 7. And then you take 7 and you plug it into your original equation. So you find that you get 48. So g f at 0, it actually comes out to a total of 48. Friends, is there any questions on that first page that I could help you with differently? Yeah.
So on those last 3, can you do it like a different way?
Yep, you can plug them in. You can plug them in. Okay, cool. I like it. Totally fine with me. All right, on the back side, sketch the graph of each of the following functions. Label the key points requested, round it to the nearest tenths, so 1 decimal place. Okay. Let's see what this problem is going to yield us. So you got y equals x raised to the 3rd minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay. Kind of a amazing looking graph. So let's see. There's going to be 3 x-intercepts, so I'm going to click here, here, and here. So my x-intercepts are at -2, 1, and 4. And then our y-intercept they also wanted. So 0, 8 is the y-intercept. Again, Desmos takes care of quite a bit of good stuff for you. Okay, so I think we labeled everything. And then, local max, local min. So the negative negative 0.732 comma 10.392 creates a local max, so put the whole point. And then 2.732 comma negative 10.392 is our local min. So remember, a local max is where it gets to a highest level and then changes direction to go back down. Local min is where it changes direction at the bottom and goes back up. Good. I think that's all we have to do. Number 8. Can I move on? Everyone feel comfortable with those? All right, number 8. We have y equals, and I'm going to make this a fraction right away. So sometimes to make it as a fraction, you want to put both the top and bottom in parentheses. That doesn't change the dynamics of the problem. I think you can get away with the bottom not being in parentheses. So we want the x-intercept. That's where it crosses the x-axis. So that's at 1.5 comma 0. The y-intercept is at 0 comma 0.75. And then it appears, if I zoom in a little bit, it appears that 4 is my vertical asymptote, so x equals 4. So if I typed in x equals 4, it's that vertical line right there, the blue one. So that is definitely your asymptote. So it's whatever the denominator is equal to 0. And then it says, down below, it says, as x goes to infinity, so as I go out forever that way, my vertical asymptote, or my value that I'm approaching in the y direction, appears to be what? So if you look at the original equation, you have 2x over x. So the powers are the same on top and bottom. So you take the lead coefficient. So it's 2 over 1 because there's a 1 in front of the x.
So do you always take just the lead coefficient from the top?
In the bottom. So if the bottom was a 3, it'd be 2/3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but they have to be the same. If they're both the same,
But 2 and 3. Oh, sorry.
the exponent, x to the first and x to the first. Because they're the same exponent, so our as x goes forever this way, it gets to 2. As x goes forever this way, and I'm basing it off this board, not that board, it's coming from 2. It's coming from 2 different directions. And that's actually something where we're going to start leading into something called limits, but it's that same idea. All right. Number 9 should be okay. Y equals square root of x plus 4. So they want the x-intercept. So negative 4, 0 is the x-intercept. 0, 2 is the y-intercept. And that's all they were looking for on that problem. And then number 10, we have y equals negative ABS of x plus 2. Make sure you put the x plus 2 in parentheses. Plus 5. And let's see, they want the x-intercept, which is here and here. So negative 7 comma 0 and 3 comma 0 are the x-intercepts. The y-intercept is right here, so it's 0, 3. The maximum value takes place at negative 2 comma 5. What they're really looking for there is the maximum value is the y value, so it's just 5. But if you put the point, I think you should be fine. And then as x goes to infinity, so as I go that way to infinity, it's going downward forever, so it's going to negative infinity. And as I go this way on this board, it's also going down to negative infinity. So both my limits are infinite limits. They go to negative infinity for both. Then number 11. 2x minus 8y equals 16. All right, so the x-intercept looks to be 8, 0. The y-intercept appears to be 0, -2. As I go forever that way on the board behind me, it's still going up, so it's going to infinity. As I go this way on the board behind me, it's going down, so it's going to negative infinity. And last but certainly not least is number 12. So yeah, y equals negative 2x squared plus x plus 15, excuse me. All right, so they want us to give it the x-intercept. So the x-intercept appears to be at 3, 0 and also at negative 2.5, 0. The y-intercept appears to be at 0, 15. The maximum value is right next to it, so at 0.25 or at 15.125. Then as I go forever this way, it's pointing down, so it's going to negative infinity. As I point this way, it's going down, so forever, so it's going to negative infinity as well. So my friends, with that knowledge there, you should be able to handle where this quiz is. So again, this quiz, if you jump into it, if you just took a look, I'm just giving you a glance.
Is it presumable still?
It is questions preview. So as you go through, mine's going to look a little different because I'm on the teacher setting. So there, it looks like you're matching column 1 and column 2. And I think I have these all in different order. So if you're working with your friend, your number 1 might not be your number 1. But you can go backwards and forwards on problems. And then this one, answer to the solution using the sign. So the square brackets, hard brackets, things like that. And then you're matching the graph to the equation. So I'd graph those equations on Desmos and figure out which one works with what. Next page. Let's see. Oh, that's you giving me some feedback. So wherever it falls. Then answer all that is true about the following question. So there's more than one answer that is correct. Okay, so make sure if you missed one that was correct, you're going to lose a little bit of the points. So this is a 10-point problem, it says so. Then the next one, you're matching the correct domains with each of these. So again, I graph them on Desmos, verify which one works. And then verifying if this is the solution or not. Solution is what? It's another word for solution in math. Where it crosses the x-axis. Okay. Next page. You're going to skip number 8 because we haven't done rent to own yet.
You said they're all different, though.
Huh? They're different order. Yeah, it might. So the one that talks about rent to own, skip it. Slant, oblique, and behavior asymptotes. Follow the graph to both positive and negative infinity. I bet you could Google that. Lists all that are true about this one. Looks like you have holes, you have vertical asymptotes, horizontal asymptotes, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so there's 10 questions in which you don't have to do the one about rent to own because we haven't done rent to own yet. Well, maybe I'll do rent to own on Friday. Yeah, I'll do rent to own on Friday. So if you start this test, skip the one that talks about rent to own. We'll do rent to own come Friday. And I get to act like a sleazy salesman for you guys on Fridays, if that's okay. Questions for me, friends? Is this quiz due tomorrow? Always tomorrow?